Welcome to the nest. This is a method that warriors use to hang, to remain suspended. Remaining suspended is not just a manner of speaking. It can be done, like in this case, thanks to a tree friend. But of course a nest can be slung anywhere. Between the beams of the ceiling, if you have them, or wherever you want. The point is to remain suspended. Sure, the case of the tree is particular. The fact of detaching oneself from the earth in this way allows to take a moment of pause with respect to the contradictions and inner contrasts we have. Unlike the trees and plants in general, we, the mobile beings, have a problem. Our connection with the earth, our roots, are continuously moving. We drag them behind us until they become a weight, while the roots of plants are firmly connected to the earth. We continuously connect and disconnect, and all this creates a constant inner contradiction, almost an internal struggle. Suspending oneself in the nest generates a moment of total detachment from this condition and gives us the chance to review and rearrange our situation, to find another kind of relationship with the earth. As I was saying, the case of using a tree is particular. To begin with, we have to be sure that the tree really welcomes us, which must not be just an idea of ours. We must have made sure of it. And to do so, it is necessary to have frequented the tree for a long time, to have established a relationship. An exercise to do is to enter and exit the tree's area of influence, its energy halo, or we could say, its luminous egg, and pay careful attention to the variations in our state when we move from inside to outside the area of influence of the tree's awareness. What changes in us and how? Anyway, before we get in physical contact with the tree, we must have created a relationship that starts from our extended body, especially from the area of the will and the vibratory center. So, first from a distance. When a relationship is stable, a relationship in these power and perception centers, then we can move on to doing things with the tree. Obviously, when we hang our nest, we must be very careful not to damage the plant, both when we sling the nest and when we take it down. Inside the nest, we stay in the dreamer's position, that is, with the soles of our feet united and the legs open. The immediate effect felt when entering the nest and abandoning oneself to this floating, to this sensation of staying afloat, is to be suspended. This is the sensation that must be looked for. Our power and perception centers immediately relax. Abandon the tensions accumulated during their existence. Above all, we will feel that the area of the will, the vibratory center, and the center for unbending intent will benefit very much from it. What can be done in here is a bit of everything, from recapitulating to falling asleep and dreaming. This is a much easier way to enter lucid dreams directly. When we are suspended here, we just need to let ourselves be carried by the feeling of floating, of being suspended and moving, and we get immediately transferred into another dreaming position. We could and should perceive very clearly the movement of the assemblage point while we are falling asleep, and then follow it. This equipment used to suspend oneself, this nest is used for different purposes. The first is to create a beneficial pause for our power and perception centers. After that, we can use it, for instance, to carry out a much deeper recapitulation, or techniques and types of recapitulation that may concern very deep aspects of our personality, things we want to get rid of. It is ideal for recapitulating what are called the cyclical personalizing sentiments, that is precisely those continuous and irresistible repetitions of ourselves that we always find in our way. And this is the place where this operation can be fulfilled. Furthermore, it is the ideal place where to dream, and specifically where to carry out the maneuver of entering dreaming directly, that is, maintaining our awareness. This state of suspension allows to reach a level of inner silence, of calmness in our being. What happens is exactly that our inner emanations calm down. Our inner agitation tends to slow down enough to allow us to better follow the transitions, the movements of the assemblage point. This is connected therefore to some maneuvers that concern stalking. For example, to marking out with greater clarity certain mechanisms of the feeling of self-importance, or other activities connected with the basics of stalking, allowing control, discipline, forbearance, and timing to settle in well. Intent can more easily be evoked when we're suspended in this way. When using a tree, the relationship with the tree must be perfect. But there is an enormous difference. It is not the same as climbing a tree. One does not obtain the same effect, because in this case we don't have a direct physical contact with the tree. We are immersed in its emanations, in its awareness, but we exclude the physical aspect. This detail is of no little consequence. And another important detail is the fact that the nest doesn't move. It is made in such a way as not to move, like a hammock would. What moves instead is the assemblage point. The sensation of movement that you receive in the nest is the perception of the movement of the assemblage point. In other words, the nest highlights, enhances the possibility to perceive the mobility of the assemblage point.